Okay, great. It looks like the slides are up. So I just want to welcome everybody who's come out to our webinar today. And, thank you so much for showing up. And for anybody who's listening to this replay, I just want to welcome you in and say thanks for coming and hanging out with us. I'm Susan Watson. I'm the co-founder of Nutrition Academy, and I run Nutrition Academy with my co-founder, Andrea Hardy, and she is the owner of Ignite Nutrition. And we both have counseling practices as well as our online business. So I have a counseling practice called A Little Nutrition, and as I mentioned, hers is called Ignite Nutrition. So this is just a screenshot of some of the different courses that we have with Nutrition Academy, and we have a variety of ones that are free as well as ones that there's a cost associated to them. So we're always adding new ones and growing our online courses, and this is really good if you don't want to do one-on-one counseling and maybe you want to do some group work, or you're just really busy and you want to get the information or the education without having to go and take appointments. So that's why we have it. And one of the other things we have started is our meal planning course. We absolutely love what we're doing at Get Meal Prepped. And right now, if you want to get information about it, we have a free starter guide. You can go to the website getmealprep.com and get our meal planning starter guide. It gives you kind of all the background information of things that you want to start thinking about when it comes to getting ready to get your meal planning on. So that's what we have been working on, and got some more information about this course at the end of our session today. So basically, again, we talk about helping people move away from eating out and purchasing convenience food or box food, and we really want to get people back into the kitchen, cooking real food as a way to improve their health and to eat better, manage a chronic disease, and really make eating out something we still can do, but more as a treat. So that's what our course kind of goes into, is how exactly to go about planning balanced, prepared meals without having any flops, failures, or frustrations. So if you stay to the end of our webinar, as I mentioned, I've got a really special deal for you. So you're here today, hopefully, because maybe you care about eating healthy and you're looking for some time-saving tips and tools to get meals prepared for you and your family. Or maybe you're interested in the Instant Pot and you own one and you maybe haven't really used it and you want to figure out how to use it a little bit better for meal planning or meal prep. And I think that's where the idea of this webinar came about. Was I promoted it to a lot of people and they went out and got it, but they still really haven't used it to their full potential. And I feel a little bit bad because I've been saying that this is a game changer and a really great tool. And I feel that people still haven't found the true value of using their electric pressure cooker. So the other thing why you might be here today is that you might be interested in how you can use this appliance to save time in the kitchen when preparing meals. So I'm going to get into all of that for you. So let's get started. First, let's go into what exactly an Instant Pot is. So, and by the way, I might call it Instant Pot or Instapot. I tend to slur my words a little bit, but it's called an Instant Pot, and basically it's the opposite of a slow cooker. So the slow cooker, you plug it in, you put your meat or your meal in, and you turn it on, and it's slowly bubbling away for 8 hours. And an Instant Pot or an electric pressure cooker, because there's lots of different brands out there, it uses steam in a sealed pot, which builds pressure and helps cook your food faster. And the pressure cookers, this is an appliance that's been around for a long time. Whether there was one on the stove that would have a lid that I don't think was very reliable back in the day, all the way to now where there is ones that have better locking lids, and now there's ones that are programmable and electric. And the Instant Pot's been around since 2010, But lately it's starting to get a lot of traction. It's become popular, and I'm really happy that I found it and that I've been using it. And I just want to help everybody understand it a little bit better. So it's not like the one that you put on the stove and could explode. It is totally different. Think of it as basically the opposite of a slow cooker, and you're still plugging it in, it's still programmable, but instead of cooking things slow, you're going to be cooking things a lot faster. So there's lots of different models, and what I love about the Instant Pot is that, it is a workhorse. It's going to be working for you in the background and doing the cooking while you're able to do other things when it comes to your meal prep. So again, just a little bit about what an Instant Pot is. It's basically a multi-use or multi-function appliance. And so there's things that you can do with it. So some of them have 7 to 9, or I think the latest one has 11 functions. But some of the things that it can do is, again, it could be a pressure cooker. It can be a slow cooker, so you can actually replace your slow cooker with it. If you don't want to use a pressure, you can still use it as a slow cooker. It's a rice cooker, and I'm just going to say rice/grains. So you can do your brown rice, white rice, but also quinoa and barley, buckwheat. It cooks eggs. It has a saute mode, which is great because you can brown your meat all in one pot, so you're saving dishes, as well as a veggie steamer. So you can think of all the different fun things that you can make with this device. And people actually even bake cakes in them. So it's really neat. And for those who are cooking at home, you don't have to worry about thinking about your food taking a long time to cook in a slow cooker. You can get the same wonderful taste that you can get in a slow cooker with using the electric pressure cooker. And most people have found the reason why they love it so much is that you're able to make healthy meals that are very convenient and cheap very, very fast. So in basic terms, again, it is a device that uses steam in a sealed pot that builds up pressure, and that's what cooks your food faster. Let's talk a little bit about the myths and misconceptions of the Instant Pot. So the reason why we're putting this out today is because, again, I've promoted the Instant Pot. Andrea's gone out and got it. Her in-laws have gone out and got it. And when I asked a couple weeks later, like, so what do you think? What have you been making? What do you think? And it's been mixed reviews. I've had people saying, oh, I love it, it's awesome. And then, even someone like my sister, she's constantly struggling to make sure that she's able to cook properly, and she doesn't quite understand what all the fuss is about because she hasn't quite been able to nail some of the techniques. And another person that I'm feeling a little bit bad about that I promoted the Instant Pot to and is still working on understanding is my mother-in-law. And the other day she was doing a very simple beef stew and had used one of the ingredients that had a bit of a thickener in it. I think it like a gravy base. And what was happening then was it was thickening up too fast and then was burning. I was just really surprised because I've never had anything burn in my Instant Pot yet. And I do remember reading somewhere that you're never supposed to use anything in Instant Pot that thickens, so like cornstarch. But I couldn't remember. I just knew never to do that, whereas I don't think it's common knowledge. So I've talked to a lot of people who have gone out and used it and haven't had a great success, and I feel like we're missing the mark, and I really want to help people understand some more information about using a pressure cooker and how to get the most out of it when it comes to meal prep. So that's what today is going to be about when we're talking about these misconceptions. So first is that I think people believe that the Instant Pot is going to save them a ton of time. But when we take a look at a lot of the things that you can cook, for example, let's even do quinoa. So it's made note that you can cook quinoa in 1 minute or less. And yes, you can. You put it in and you set the timer for 1 minute. but it still takes 3 to 5 minutes to get up to pressure. And then it cooks for the 1 minute, and then it's a couple minutes to come out of pressure. So by the time you're done, it's still sometimes about 15 to 20 minutes, which is about the same time if you cooked it on the stove. So it's not necessarily a time saver in that sense. And even when you take a look at some of the other things that you can cook in it, you're not necessarily saving a lot of time. And it's a misconception when they say that you can cook quinoa in 1 minute. The cooking function goes for 1 minute, but the amount of time is still about 15 to 20 minutes. But the piece where you find the time saving is the fact that you can do so much other things while your quinoa is cooking. It's a workhorse in the background for you. Whereas if you have grains or rice on the stove, you have to stand there and stir it. And you can't really leave your kitchen, you can't do anything else. Whereas in the Instant Pot, you can put everything in there, lock the lid, put it on, walk away and come back. And I do find that piece is great because you can be doing other meal planning and meal prep while it's cooking. So for example, the other day I was making supper for my family, and my little one is at daycare till about 5, and I had to go pick her up. So if I was making a pasta dish for supper, and if I was at home and boiling water on the stove, I would never start to boil pasta and then have it on the stove and then leave the house to go pick up a child at daycare. There's no way, because what if it boiled over or something happened on the stove? You just wouldn't do that. But with the Instant Pot, I put in a couple cups of rice with 5 or 6 cups of water, and I turned it on for, I think it was 2 or 3 minutes, and I left the house and I went and I picked up my little one, and when I came home, it was ready, the pressure was coming down, and I just quick released and then drained the water, and the noodles were done. So that's what I like about it, is that piece that you can be doing other things while it's cooking in the background for you. So it does save you some time in that sense. It's not magic, that's for sure. And the total cooking time is not necessarily anything less. If anything, you might be saving, 10 or 15 minutes here or there, but it's the fact that you're able to do so much more while it's cooking. So another misconception is that it's not always or one pot meals. You think that Instant Pot might be one pot meals, but they're not always one pot meals, and they're not always an exact science. So I convert a lot of recipes from slow cooker recipes to Instant Pot, and I do find that there are a few things that you have to be mindful of, and a lot of the times a recipe might say put everything in the pot and turn it on and go, but I find that not everything cooks at the same time. So if you have something like potatoes and peppers in your recipe for the Instant Pot, and you put it on for 20 minutes or even 40 minutes, your peppers are going to be mushed by the time it's done. Whereas the potatoes and the meat might be perfect. So in a lot of recipes that I've been adapting or working with, some of those faster cooking ingredients I leave until the end. So I'll cook the potatoes and meat, they usually cook around the same time, and then when everything is done, I'll take the lid off and I'll throw in some of the food items, ingredients that don't take very long to cook, and I'll throw those in. And sometimes I just have to put the saute function back on and it will come to a bit of a boil. And if it's something like kale, you can just put it in the heat of the soup or the stew will just already cook your kale for you as well. And sometimes I find that the recommendations for water versus the ingredient that you're putting in is sometimes off. So, depending on if you have a 3-quart Instant Pot or a 6-quart or 9-quart, you have to try a bunch of things first and see how it works for you. And in fact, I feel like I'm still working on mastering some of the different ingredients, but once you figure it out, I recommend to just write it down. So for me, the way I like my eggs, I will put a little bit of water on the bottom and I'll put in the eggs, and then I'll turn it on for 3 minutes of pressure, and then I'll let it slow release till 5, and then instantly release the air. And I find that that's the creamy texture of the egg that I like. My husband, he thinks they're too soft. He does not like them that way, so he might want to leave them on a little bit longer. So you'll start to kind of get to know your cooking times, and the best thing to do is just write it down so that you remember next time you're ready to make a meal. The other thing that we find with the Instant Pot is that you can find that sometimes it's bigger than it looks. I have the 6-quart. My mother-in-law has the 3-quart, and but there is even a larger size than that, and they do take up quite a bit of space. One of the mistakes that I made was leaving on my stove, and it got burnt. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But between a stand mixer, a food processor, and your Instant Pot and some of the other appliances, you might have to find additional counter space or cupboard space for your Instant Pot. The other thing too is that sometimes the Instant Pot holds a lot of smells from whatever you're cooking, and it's recommended that when you store it, you do not store it with the lid on. So I usually leave my lid off, and I leave it upside down, maybe in a different drawer, and that just lets the air dissipate from it a little bit. So this was what I was talking about. My Instant Pot fail was that because it was, it's a pretty large device, I had put it on my stove because there's always space on my ceramic countertop stove. But what happened was I was pushing it to the back a little bit, and it hit one of the knobs, and it turned on the element. And I hadn't noticed because it was only on really, really low, almost I think it was the melt button. And suddenly, like, I don't know, 15 minutes later, my little one is pointing at the stove, staring at the smoke, going, "Mama, Mama, smoke." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I look over, I'm like, "No." It took forever to get the smell of burning plastic out of my house. But yeah, you definitely don't want to store it on top of a ceramic glass stove, or your stove at any matter. I've also burnt a couple electric kettles the same way, so you'd think I'd learned my lesson, but make sure you have a good spot for it to store, and don't leave it on your stove. So another misconception is that they're not safe. And when I sent out our 50 recipes for the Instant Pot, healthy recipes made by dietitians, I've asked a lot of people after they've received it, what did you think? Have you tried it? What are your thoughts? And actually some of the responses were quite surprising when they came back, and people would say, "You know what? I love the recipes. That's great. I've kept them here. I printed them off. I'm looking at them, but I haven't used my Instant Pot yet because I'm really afraid of using it." And I don't know what I can do or say about that if you're still afraid of using it. I guess when I opened mine, I went on YouTube and I found a couple unboxing videos, and it was just some women who have bought an Instant Pot, and they did a video on how to go about putting it together and the different safety features, and I haven't had any issues. I felt very confident after watching the video because then I knew how to make it work. But in the probably 6 months I've been using it right now, I have not had any safety issue concerns. And there's actually been a few times when I wanted to go take the lid off, and I guess it wasn't quite ready to open. And if there's still pressure built inside of the Instant Pot, it will not allow you to open the lid. You cannot accidentally open it, and it actually stays in the lock position. So my rule of thumb would be that if you have any resistance on the lid when it comes to opening it, just leave it on for a little bit longer and just let it naturally release its pressure, because if it has that resistance, it means it's not ready to unlock. But with having at least 10 different safety mechanisms, I wouldn't be concerned about it at all. So it's a lot different from the pressure cookers back in the day, and you might have heard of some situations where they've blown up or the lids have flown off, and very, very dangerous, the old styles. But these ones, the when the pressure gauge goes down and it tells you that there's no more pressure, you know that it's safe to open. And I haven't actually heard of any negative bad reviews other than people just using the device not properly. But still, I don't think there has been any issues with using it if you follow the instructions. The other thing I've heard from some people is that when you're pressure cooking your food, it's less healthy because you're, picture just over boiling food and all the nutrients leaching out and everything being leached into the water. And that's not necessarily true. With pressure cooking, heat is very evenly and deeply distributed throughout your food, and you don't necessarily have to immerse the food in water. You can have just enough water on the bottom of the pot. There's a little tray that you can put inside, and you can cook your food with the steam, so it's not necessarily leaching out, it's actually infusing more in. Because you're not boiling it into the water, the vitamins and minerals are not leaching into any water. It's the steam that's surrounding the food that actually cooks your food, and that's really what keeps the food having its original flavor. Whereas if you have a slow cooker and you've left it on even too long, I found that when I was using a slow cooker, I would set it sometimes for 12 hours because that's how long I was out of the house. I didn't have an automatic turn off on mine. And by the time you come home, no matter what, everything always tasted the same. The potatoes tasted the same, the meat, the vegetables had been turned to mush. So that I would say, the nutrients maybe had leached out or had come out of the food, but in the pressure cooker, it is definitely staying a lot more intact. And I do find that you're not cooking it as long. You're having a shorter cooking time, and even though it's a higher temperature, it's not cooking the food as long. So when is a slow cooker maybe a better option for you than electric pressure cooker? So I would have to say one of the limiting factors with a pressure cooker is that once you put everything in, you can't just lift up the lid and kind of tweak your recipe as it cooks along throughout the day. Once the lid's on, you can't pause it. So sometimes what I've done is I've put in, as I mentioned, the food that takes longer to cook, so the potatoes and the meat, and then at the very end I've thrown in some herbs and spices. And with a slow cooker, if there's a recipe where you have to cook something for say 20 minutes and then add something in at the 20-minute mark and then continue adding on, that's when maybe a slow cooker might be a better option for you. But at the same time, you can use the slow cooker function on the Instant Pot, and the difference there is that it's bubbling away, but you don't have it under pressure. So you have the pressure valve open and the steam is being released. And you can also get different lids for the Instant Pot and use it as a slow cooker function. So it still works good in both scenarios. And I would say that for me, I took my slow cooker to the thrift store. I got rid of it because I didn't have room in my kitchen for two big, large appliances, and I haven't actually needed the slow cooker function. But it is definitely the fact that it's there, and if I ever do need it, I've replaced it, and I can still use it with the Instant Pot. So using your Instant Pot, you have one, you're still not too sure what to do, I do recommend going to the Instant Pot website and taking a look at or your manual that came with it and read it. Use it and circle back to the recommendations that it has in it. And if you're not too sure, there is an Instant Pot Facebook group that's run by Instapot. There's lots of information that's on that as well. I haven't signed up for it, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it would be good if you're looking for additional resources or if you have a question about your make or model, because guaranteed there's somebody else out there. And so if you're interested or you're thinking about buying one, but first of all, I'll just say, like, I have no ties or affiliations with Instapot. I'm not being paid to talk about this. This is just my love for the device. But what I found is that there's lots of different ones, and because I'm on my second one, I had started out with this, I guess a 7-in-1, and I've gone up to 11-in-1, but still a 6-quart. There's ones that are programmable, that you can have Bluetooth functions to your cell phone. I personally don't think that it's that necessary. I've just got a basic one where has all the different functions, but I don't want my Instapot, an app on my cell phone for it. But some people really like that function, and if you're really interested in having your food done, I guess, to perfection, it might help you in some ways, but I don't think it's necessary. But go to the website, take out your manual and read it, and just make sure that you are using your appliance the way it's made to do. If you're starting out the first time and you haven't done anything yet, or you're still a little bit nervous, what I say is focus on a single function. So just one item first. And eggs seem to be one of the easiest things to start off with. So, take a couple eggs, you put your metal tray in, add 1 cup of water, put like 4 or 5 eggs in, and you can use the egg function, and that will work fine. I just find that I use the manual function a lot because I have my own settings and times that I like to use. And again, I like to use 3 minutes and let it go up to pressure, cook for 3 minutes. I let it just slow release for 5 and then quick release. And then I take the eggs and I take the pot out and I put it into the sink and fill it with cold water. And when that's done, the eggshells peel off really, really nice and easy. But start with eggs. That's what the number one thing I tell people to do if they're not too sure how to use it. Go with eggs. So start simple, and when you're breaking in your Instapot, you want to try cooked ingredients of one thing. So, start with maybe a simple pot of beans, or maybe doing just some shredded chicken, or maybe just some brown rice. Don't jump right into a multi-ingredient recipe right away. Start small and then build up from there. When you realize, oh, beans actually take 40 minutes. You know that if you're adding them to a super stew, that you've got to have your setting done for at least 40 minutes. And the more you use it, the more comfortable you will become with all the different times it's going to take to cook the different ingredients. So one of the things that, if you haven't already downloaded it, if you don't have it and you want to get a copy of it, I think after the webinar, I'll send it out again, and you can get a copy of it. But I have put together a list of 50 Instapot recipes that are very healthy, because they are all put together from dietitians that I've connected with, that they've agreed to share their recipes with us. So it's a 50-page booklet there that you can download as a PDF, and in there is this recipe, one to try, and it's how you can take a whole chicken and put it into the Instant Pot. And once it's done cooking, not only will you have the broth that you could use for soups or stews, you also have all the shredded chicken that you can use for a whole bunch of different recipes, like adding onto salads or quesadillas, or just, chicken, rice, and vegetables. So many different things, chicken casserole, a lot of different things you can do when you have cooked up chicken ready to go. So this recipe is in our PDF download, and we just thank Jessica Become and Stacy Hassing for sharing that with us. And another one that, as you kind of build up onto your confidence levels, you can try this Instant Pot Asian Chicken from Lindsay Livingston. We really love a lot of her recipes, and again, she'll walk you through in the recipe on how to use your Instant Pot, but again, start with simple recipes and build upon that. Another one that's really easy to do is this one from Amanda Fredrickson, and it's buffalo chicken sandwiches. So you're doing the shredded chicken in your Instapot, and then you're putting it together in a meal after. And what I like about this too is once you've made your buffalo chicken, you can use it for these sandwiches, but you can also use it in other recipes and other meal ideas, so it doesn't feel like you're having the same thing all week. But I would definitely use the shredded chicken into a quesadilla for a second night recipe reinvention with leftovers. So again, it's called 50 Healthy Instapot Dietitian Approved Recipes. When we send you some information after the workshop, I'll send you a link so that you can get a copy of it if you don't already have it. And so we'll go over a few more tips on, the tips to getting the most out of your Instapot. So again, this recipe is in the guide that I was talking about. So it is a broccoli cheddar quiche. So not only do you have, you're not just cooking meat and soups and stews, you can actually do a quiche in it, which is lovely. So let's go into some tips that I found will help you get the most out of your Instapot. First, you want to think about finishing with freshness. So I mentioned before, you might want to cook your meat or your longer cooking items first, and at the very end, throw in some of those food items that cook really fast or that you think might lose their flavor if you're cooking something at high temperature for a long period of time. So for example, some recipes that might call for garlic, fresh garlic, I'll put it in when I'm cooking, but at the very end, I might, after it's done, I've taken the lid off, I might stir in some more of the garlic just to bring out some of those flavors, but I'll taste it first. In some recipes, it's fine, it's great, and in some recipes I find that some of the flavor might have been lost. One of the recipes that we have for a sweet potato curry, I found that some of the curry, I like a really strong curry, and after I cooked it, the curry taste had gone down a bit, so I just put a little bit in at the end. So feel free to kind of taste at the end, and if that's the case, it doesn't mean it's been a flop, it just means that you need to add a little bit more. And so this buckwheat porridge, once it was done, finish it off with some fresh walnuts, or this Thai chicken, peanut chicken soup. This is great because you wouldn't want to put your peanuts or all of them in they won't be crunchy when they're done. So you can finish it off with some crunchy peanuts and also with some peppers or green onions. And this pork chili verde, I like, you wouldn't put your avocados in the Instapot. You would leave them for the end and finish it off with freshness. So having some vegetable garnishes or fresh herbs is a really great way to jazz up your meal at the end. Again, this was the quinoa coconut curry that I mentioned. So whatever flavor you have at the end, once you're done with it, you might want to just add a little bit more depending on your taste preference. It might be perfect when it's done, but if you find that you like things maybe a little bit spicier, or maybe you really like the taste of ginger, and after you've put a stew in an Instapot, some of those flavors, they just all kind of mix together, and if you want to bring out one flavor, just finish it off with a little bit of whatever that ingredient is. Sometimes for me it's ginger, sometimes for me I like to put a little bit of turmeric in it to bring out that flavor. So yeah, don't feel free to, or feel free to just spice it up at the end. I like to always make lots of leftovers. So what I like to do is to get the most out of my Instapot. If I'm doing a chili or a soup or a stew, I will cook up a bunch and then I'll have it for that night, and then I'll put the rest in the freezer. And if you freeze it in a circular bowl, you can take it back out and heat it up again in your Instapot. So that's really, really nice. It's actually faster than using your microwave. So I think the problem that I've seen people do is they take their leftovers and they put it in a freezer bag and lay it flat, and that doesn't fit into the Instapot very nicely. So think about the size of the bowl and trying to freeze things in that manner. So you can just take it out of the bag, put it into your Instapot, put the locking lid on, and either do the steam function or the saute function, depending on what it is. You might even put it on pressure for a little bit, but you could take something from frozen to piping hot in as little as 10 minutes if you do it that way. Lastly, I guess if you're really unsure of using your Instapot and you're not too sure, experiment, play around, have fun, but maybe just try boiling some water if you're unsure. And again, like Andrea and I, we're here for you. If you have questions, you have to email us and you have to let us know. Because we want to know what your fears are, or your issues around using the Instant Pot, because we want to help you. But you know what? Sometimes just boiling some water is a good way to get used to it for the first time. Ultimately, if you have your Instant Pot and it's still in the box, please, please, please take it out of the box, boil water, make some eggs, do something simple, start using it, because once you get the hang of it, trust me, you are going to realize that it definitely saves you time in the kitchen. And I want to see you getting your meal prep done. And if it's a workhorse in the background, doing your rice so that you have enough rice cooked up through the week, or doing up your meat so that you have cooked meat ready to reinvent into different meals all throughout the week. These are reasons why you want to use your Instant Pot. So now is your time. If you're not too sure about meal planning, or you maybe need some help with meal planning, or you're struggling with getting dinner on the table, we want to help you with that. We want to show you how you can do meal prep to your maximum benefit. And it's different for everybody, we know that. So we've come up with some different ways to help people. This is a picture in my kitchen. I was on TV this week, and I wanted to show all the different things that you can do for meal prep. So I had done some eggs, I did some shredded chicken, I did a multi-ingredient recipe, a lentil soup, but also I cooked up some brown rice, some lentils, and I even made chicken broth. And that was just with a whole chicken. I put it straight into the Instant Pot. It was the fastest, easiest way making homemade, low sodium chicken stock that I've been using all week. So it's your time now to start gaining confidence in the kitchen with the guidance of a step-by-step system that is designed by experts. So I just want to introduce to you our course, Get Meal Prepped. And what we're doing it a little bit differently. It's always just been something that you can sign up for and go along at your own pace, and we have lifetime access. So people have purchased it and maybe taken a couple months to go through it, and ultimately sometimes they get busy and they don't get through all the course material. So what we're doing this time is we're going to have a 1-month workshop, and you'll get access to the course, but each week we're going to be hopping in and doing some coaching calls just to see how you're liking the content, and if you have any questions, what we can do to give you a little bit more personalized help throughout getting you meal planning and meal prepping and ultimately eating better. So, being prepared means being confident and competent with your eating and the foods that you prepare. A lot of times people tell me that they just don't know what to cook. They need new ideas, or they come up with the ideas and they're just not too sure how to piece it all together. So, a planned meal will ensure that you're getting the nutrition that your body needs to achieve a healthy weight, reduce or eliminate food cravings, and end that mealtime chaos, and ultimately save you money on your grocery bill. So I hope that sounds great. So Get Meal Prepped is the only dietitian guided workshop that shows you exactly how to plan, balance, and prepare your meals without those flops, failures, and frustrations. And trust me, they will happen, but we definitely want you to learn how to do it with less fails and frustrations, because you will learn and you'll get better as you go through it. So what do you get for joining our course? We have at least 6 modules. In each module, there's at least 3 or 4 videos that go along with that. And we walk you through it step by step. We have a couple bonus modules that we've added in, and we've actually been adding content as we go along, because people will ask us questions and say, oh, we need to add that into the course. So we also have all the templates, tools, and a ton of recipes for you to utilize to help with your meal planning. We have checklists so that you're not going to the grocery store and being overwhelmed, that you're prepared when you're ready to go, and ultimately that will save you time at the grocery store. Everything is done with video, and it's video and audio delivery, as well as our step-by-step guides. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools, that you're going about it in the correct order so that you can get dinner done. So you can kind of see inside our course curriculum. If you go to Nutrition Academy and you take a look at our course, getmealprep.com, and you click on the page and you go down class curriculum, you can see the 6 different modules and all the different topics that we're going to cover. I won't go into it right now, but it's everything from getting started with your meal planning and figuring out your meal planning style, because everybody's a little bit different, to putting together your meal plan, and then going into time-saving things on how to work smarter, not harder, so that you're not spending 8 hours in the kitchen to get dinner done. And ultimately, I only cook 3 days a week, and a lot of it I'm repurposing leftovers because I don't have a ton of time, and we eat supper at home every night, but I'm not cooking from scratch every single night, probably about 3 times out of the whole week. And it's either that, or I have freezer meals or different ideas to get dinner done. So we go into all of that and share with you our tools for success. The other thing we want to go through is we talk about a little bit about your nutrition. I mean, we're dietitians, and we don't want to just show you how to meal plan. We want to make sure that you are meal planning healthy, balanced meals. So this is an example of how we are talking about snacks, and how snacks have to be balanced to give you energy. If you're just having grapes or just having cheese separately, you're not going to get a lot of energy, and you'll probably get some of that afternoon brain drain. But if you pair your grapes and your cheese together for a balanced snack, you're going to get a lot more energy. And we cover all of this for both meals and snacks in the course. So hopefully, that will help you, and we've got different ideas on what you can do for kids, for school lunches, as well as, workday lunches, everything that has to do with meal planning for you and your family. And we also talk about, what is the best type of container to use. We talk a lot about, the basics for nutrition. So what to look for when it comes to nutrition labels, quick tips on food items to avoid. And that's that dietitian nutrition piece that you're not going to get from any other meal planning course. And a lot of the examples that we have are from my own personal life experience with being a mom with 2 kids, and talking about, the importance of getting your kids helping and helping them not be picky eaters, and making sure that you're cooking food for them that's healthy and not processed and packaged. So we have added into the course another guide. We had a lot of people asking us for this, and what we have here is how to plan non-sandwich lunches for kids. And it's basically choose your own adventure, but a lot of people found this tool very helpful because we've got all the different types of grain ideas and veggie ideas that you can pair with fruit or dairy or protein. And a lot of moms will ask me, like, well, what do I make my kids if I'm not supposed to give them luncheon meat or sandwich meat? Like, what are my other options? So we have a lot of different ideas for you, and a lot of the ideas from our kids' lunches you could actually take for yourself, because I don't think that there's special food for kids and special food for adults. It's just more ones that kids might find more acceptable. So again, we go into easy lunch meal ideas for adults as well. I love talking about power bowls, because for anybody who's busy that has to maybe commute to work or doesn't have a lot of time, power bowls are great. It's kind of a one-pot dish where you've got your grains and you got your protein and you got your vegetables, and you cook it up on the weekend and you put it into containers and you have it ready all week, and there's no worrying about what to have for lunch because it's in your fridge ready to go. Freezer meals, I like to go into that in the course as well, talking about how you should always have a few freezer meal ideas or freezer meals in your freezer for when life just doesn't happen properly or planned. It happens, every once in a while. We can have all the best intentions with our meal plan, but something might come up and you're coming home at 5:30 and like, oh no, I don't have anything planned for dinner. So that's when the freezer meal comes out. We have, again, I talked about our different templates and our different checklists. So we help you create a master meal list, which basically helps you. This is your tool that you use when you are planning your meals. So this would be, part of step one. And we've got different handouts and different tools that you would use for grocery lists. A lot of people use different styles of grocery lists, so we've got a few different ones that you can put together. And I'm actually working on a new piece for the course about using online shopping. So in Manitoba here, it's called Click and Collect, but you're starting to see them all over the country. And basically, you go online and you order your groceries, and then you show up at the grocery store at a certain time and they load it into your car. And that's also something that we'll be adding as a module to a course about how you can make your grocery shopping a lot easier for you. We go into the prep, making sure that when you get home, you're prepping up properly, and how to do that so that you are not spending a whole bunch of time doing it. And some people, prep all at once, and some people prep as you go. So we go into those different styles that you can do. And basically, by the end of the course, you are going to be able to plan balanced, nutritious meals for you and your family, and hopefully cook 1 or 2 times per week, but have meals that are ready to eat all week long. You're going to know how to incorporate healthy snacks into your diet to keep you energized for the day and not overeat at meals. That's back to those balanced snacks that we're talking about. You're going to know how to batch cook and the batch cooking secrets to success that will save you time in the kitchen when preparing your meals. By the end of the course, you're going to be able to prevent those recipe ruts and never get bored with your meals and getting bored or not knowing what to prepare. You're going to be able to master your time in the kitchen and not be a slave to the stove. So you can become super efficient at grocery shopping and grocery shopping at the store. So I like to tell people you're going to be able to get in and get out in record time. The other thing we want to help you with is to make sure that you make the most of your time in the kitchen by putting your appliances to work for you. So that's where we're talking about using those time-saving appliances like a veggie steamer or a rice cooker, or as we talked about today, using the Instant Pot. But there's lots of different time-saving appliances that you can use, and that's really how you get it done. If you don't have a lot of those appliances, it's definitely a little bit more time-consuming. So we'll tell you, which ones are worth it and which ones you can leave at the store. As with most of our webinars, we always try to have a bonus or a webinar deal. So today we have a $45 worth of savings bonus, and actually quite a bit more that I want to share with you. So our bonus that we have is that we have added in a Facebook group, so a private Facebook community, and this has been part of the course, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be scheduling 4 Facebook Lives coaching calls on Thursday night. So we're going to start the course on February 15th, and from there we're going to have scheduled meetings where you can come in and ask your questions in advance, and I'm going to be answering them. I'm going to pop on and share with you the answers to help you get through what you're doing. So each week you're going to want to go through some of the course material and try it out, and then come to the Facebook Live group and ask your questions, or chat with us and just see how you're going. So it's definitely going to be a lot more supportive than what we've done in the past. This is also a great bonus that we have never done before. I've had a lot of people ask me about having some ideas for smart snacks that are simple. So if you struggle with that brain drain and you feel like you just can't focus at work, or you're getting those mid-morning energy crashes and basically they're driving you towards having a latte or maybe a muffin that's more like a cake, this is why you want to take a look at some of these meal ideas that we put together for snacks, because you don't want to be hitting that 2 p.m. slump and feeling like you're going to take a nap underneath your desk mid-afternoon. We want you to be energized and fueled. So we put together a recipe guide of simple snacks that are very, very smart. Over 20 simple snack ideas that are very delicious and balanced, and it's going to really complement this course well. So it's $15 if you wanted to just buy it on its own, but we're adding it into the course for free in this webinar deal. So you're going to get all of these wonderful snacks for eating, balanced snacks that are going to help you avoid especially that two-supper syndrome. So we mentioned the bonus of having the live coaching call. So basically for 4 weeks, you're going to get 4 weeks of guided support. So very similar to this where we have myself or Andrea on the call. You can email us your questions in advance and we're going to answer them and we're going to talk about it. And you're going to get a personalized answer from us as to how we can help you with your meal planning struggles and solutions. So February 22nd, March 1st, March 8th, all the way to March 15th, and that's going to be us. I've booked off that time in my calendar. I want to be there for you. So, why is this course the ultimate guide to meal planning? That is because this course is designed by degreed professionals. We're registered dietitians and we're the experts in food and nutrition. We practice what we preach in our home life and our work, and we've been teaching meal planning to people for over 10 years. And we know that there isn't just one way to meal plan or one way to eat. This course will teach you a variety of ways to meal plan that's going to suit your life and your eating habits and your financial budget. You will eat better than you ever have because we teach you how to balance your meals with appropriate protein, carbohydrates, and vegetables at each meal, and basically how to plan snacks to help you feel full, because we don't want you to have poor nutrition. And a lot of the meal planning courses are out there is, if you take a look at the recipes that they help you with, it's just all carbs or pasta and in a sauce. And we don't think that that's meal planning. Meal planning is about making sure you're getting enough of the right protein, the right type of grains, and enough vegetables. So we want you to feel full and also be the healthiest you can be. So now is the time. We want you to join now. We're going to show you how to do that. There's the registration button just below, and if you're ready to do that, we're going to show you how to do it. Are you ready to start eating healthier, preparing healthier meals, and finally feel good about your nutrition? This course is for you if you're tired of the food rut, spaghetti, hot dogs, pizza, repeat, or you hate spending an extra $100 a week eating out or ordering in. Maybe you're running to the grocery store at 5 o'clock every day to, figure out what's for dinner. And maybe you just want to enjoy a healthy home-cooked meal around the dinner table with your family and not have all the chaos. So if this is sounding like you can join us now. A lot of other meal planning courses or coaching calls and coaching programs can be at least $600. I know I have one. It's one-on-one, and it's over $600. If you work with us one-on-one, it's $125. Our online course is the best way to do it. You'll still get access to us, as well as you'll be able to do the course content in your own time without having to go to meetings. So the final step is to register for our course. Right now, we have it on sale for $97. So it's originally $127. We've put it on deal for $97. You get unlimited access to the course. Plus, you're going to be able to have those coaching calls, have that support you need for a full month. So if this sounds like something that you want to do, join us now. We have the fast action bonus. It's going to end on February 15th. You got a few days to decide. When you look in your screen right here, there is a button over to the side that's going to say enroll, and I'll just show this screenshot again. You just click on it and you'll be able to get access to the course. And if you have any questions or maybe some tech difficulties with purchasing the course, feel free to email us. It's info@nutritionacademy.co, and you'll get either Andrew or myself, and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions for you and help walk you through the process. But we most importantly look forward to working with you. We love helping people with meal planning. I know it's a true passion of mine, and we want to help you starting to eat better. So I'm going to pop off the screen now, and I'm going to be back on the chat, and we can answer any of the questions you have about the Instapot, about the misconceptions, or even if you're interested in the meal planning course. That would be great. Okay, see you on the other side.